What's up YouTube? Barcode here. Today I'm bringing you another Dungeon Hunter Champions video. I'm going to start calling it DHC. I think that'll be a little bit easier for me. Anyway, so I posted a Nat 3 tier list on the Reddit last night at about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was a little tired, got 4 hours of sleep, 3 cups of coffee in, and I am good and refreshed now. So what I wanted to talk about is my tier list and a couple of discussions that I've seen on Reddit, the most common discussions about the tier list and my thought process on why I chose the grade that I did. Now, a couple things to note. Nat 3 tier lists, they are Nat 3s. They are easily replaced with a lot of Nat 4s. I am going to make a Nat 4 list eventually, probably in the next week or two, just depending. But enough. That being said, you know, Nat 3s can be replaced by Nat 4s. Also, the grade that I give, it's pretty much a overall use in every single element of the game is what my thought process was. As a free-to-play player, you need to, you know, keep your resources and use them wisely. So building something from the get-go in thought process of late game or mid game, etc., to progress you, that's what my thought process was on the grade. So on my tier list, anything that's yellow really is a good monster to build. Okay, orange, that would probably be yours. You know, after you build a lot of these yellow highlighted B, A, and S tiers monsters, then you can start working on the orange ones if you'd like. But at that point, hopefully you've pulled a lot of Nat 4s, Nat 5s, and are able to you know, skip those orange ones. Anyway, so let's start with S tiers. So my first S tier on the list is actually going to be Light Boon Sister. Let me filter this out real quick. So Light Boon Sister, you get 20 shards from her in doing your, just following the missions. However, from what I've researched, you can't get the other 20 shards on like mission rewards or anything like that. So the best way to do it would be to farm the light bull and hope for those shards to drop. That's kind of like rolling dice. So not the best way to spend your time and energy doing that. Luckily, you can pull it from a light and dark token. I was going to say scroll because that's what I'm used to, but tokens, and you know, be able to pull her that way. So if you're lucky enough to get her, that is great. So let's go into Light Xenia. So Xenia has on her basic attack is a lower defense, which is great from a healer because when your cooldowns are done, you're throwing out that defense break on the enemy, and then your DPS can knock that damage, knock that guy down. Second skill is to remove 3 buffs, so a strip from 3 buffs. I mean, that's amazing. That's pretty much all buffs. Not many others have multiple buffs on at one time, so I mean, that's pretty much stripping them of all buffs. Her heal is based on whoever she's healing, their max HP. It's not her max HP, it's theirs. However, this lets you build her tanky. You don't have to build like a water Valkyrie spec where it's the heal is based off of attack speed and attack. You can build her tanky and still heal for a lot. Her last is a stun, so anyone in that line of damage gets stunned. So great for PvP. And just great overall in general. She's pretty much your Bella from Summoner's War, barf. So, you know, she is a great monster to build up if you get her. My next S tier is, of course, another light monster, is Light, what is her name? Baba Gawa. So, Light Crow Mage, Crow Mag, okay? Crow Hag. Anyway, so the first one disorients, which is great for PvEs to get that glancing up. She gets lifesteal if her sinister ritual is on, is her buff is on her, and she blinds the first enemy that's struck, which is great. And then all the damage on those first two, the basic attack and the harrowing crows, is based off of accuracy. Noxious potion, mortal wounds, which is great for anyone that needs a heal. You know, it's situationally good, but it is good to have on a kit. And then the ongoing damage, which is the damage over time, which is amazing, and it's good for high HP monsters. The Sinister Ritual, like I was saying, sacrifices a quarter of her health to enhance her skills for bonus skills, and then it raises her attack as well. So she, you can build her as a nuke and with damage over times, and maybe a little bit of survivability, and she's just a great PvE monster to build if you are able to pull her. All the Crow Hags are good. They all pretty much do the same thing. Even Fire is good. I rate her as C, and that's just because, I mean, you're not going to use her in F10 Drake, and you could use her in F10 Widow, but other than that, I mean, she'd be a good last spot in a full fire team if you're building full teams of elements to strengthen your progress. And that's actually the only 2 S tiers that I have on my list. And I when I rate them with an S tier, it's just being able to be used everywhere. And because they are a neutral element, you can pretty much take them anywhere except for maybe Dark Bull. But again, it'd still be okay because they're still doing more damage to that target, but they're taking more damage as well. So you can still use them in Dark Bull. So what I also wanted to talk about is my A tiers. So A tiers, there's many different uses. So let's talk about that. Water Boon's sister. Okay, so I have a lot of discussion on Reddit about why I rated her an A and Fire only a B. So for one, you start out with this character, okay? And as a free-to-play player, you need to spend your resources wisely, like I stated. So when you start out with her and she has a heal and you can build her tanky and she has a slow and a stun, you could use her in many different areas. You can use her in F10 Drake, you can use her in F10 Widow as your healer. Yes, there's other monsters that can maybe outperform her in utility, but she's a starter monster. They give you this monster for free, and it's not bad. You can find immunity or cleanses in other monsters in your team comp. Anything, I individually rate them in this tier list, but essentially it's all about your team composition of who you bring, and it always depends on, like I said, who you bring. So that's why I rated her an A over the Fire being B. So Fire is great as well. She removes 3 buffs, which is pretty much a complete strip of enemies' buffs. Has an attack, a buff for your team, heals, and it has a defense break, okay? But are you going to use her in Drake floor 10? No. You could, essentially, but she is still taking more damage. The good thing about Boon Sisters is you can just build them tanky. However, you don't necessarily need it. She's still going to glance, so she might not land the defense break. So it just, overall, in every aspect of the game, I feel like water is better used in every aspect of the game. So that's why I rated her that way. I do agree that Fire Boon Sister is great. So don't get me wrong from that. So let's go down to Dark Crow Hag, which is another Crow Hag. So Dark Crow Hag, if you're able to pull him, pretty much same as the Light. Instead of the attack buff, he gets a crit buff. And that's why I rated Light Hag a little bit higher. Just because you're not going to really build the Crow Hags on like a crit damage build per se. So, yeah, the extra attack will be nice, but the extra crit, I don't think you're building crit. You're going to be building for accuracy and some attack and some survivability because they are pretty squishy. However, you can pretty much take him or her. It looks like, I don't know why I keep calling him, but you can take her pretty much anywhere, just like Light Hag, but I feel like Light Hag is just a little bit better than Dark. So let's go down the list. Okay, so Fire, Fox Assassin. So let me find her. Boop, boop, boop. Is this the Fox Assassin? Yes, okay, so I rated her an A. And this is the main reason because she is a 5 vs 5 PvP monster that you can use, and pretty much will kill them off and very quickly. Her auto attacks do more damage when the enemy is missing HP. She has a slow, which also can be picked up if you run over it, which resets the cooldown of the skill, which is, I mean, you can, if you manipulate it well in PvP, you can get that done twice and do more damage. The Cutthroat raises her defense, so it makes her a little bit more tanky. You're not building her with defense, but a little bit of more defense as an assassin is always good. Silence the target. So when you use this Cutthroat, you pretty much vanish and appear behind the target. You silence them, and they can't do anything besides move and auto attack. So you can now do Heart Ripper, does a lot of damage, and damage over time of 3 stacks, which is killing their HP. And then also backflips when after the skill is done, so you kind of get away. It's kind of like a hit and go kind of assassin, which is nice. And then once you silence them and then do the Heart Ripper and then throwing her fan, you're doing all this damage, and then when the enemy's HP is low, you're doing more damage. So I feel like she's a great monster for PvP. Yes, she can't be used in floor 10 Drake. You could use her in floor 10 Widow because it is fire, she has damage over time, and she's an assassin, so she's hitting hard. And you can use her in many other areas in the game, so that's why I feel I rated her an A. So Dark Assassin, which I want to talk about, which was another discussion. Dark Assassin is also good as well. The only reason I have her rated a B and not an A is because you can't use her in 5 vs 5. But she has a defense break. It's the same thing, fan throw, backstab, appears behind the target, and then it raises her attack speed. So she's not really an attack speed monster. Yes, attack speed helps. You're hitting faster and doing more damage, but I feel like if that was like an attack buff, then I would actually rate her higher. But like I said in the tier list, she is a good raid boss killer because of these 3 stacks, and she's a neutral element of dark, and she's bonus damage when the enemy's HP is missing, so she is a good boss killer. But that's why I rated the Fire Fox higher than the Dark Fox, because of that 5 vs 5 aspect. So let's keep going down the list. Okay, so Derby Girl Dark. I rated her an A. Okay, the main reason I rated her an A as well is because of the 5 vs 5 aspect. She is a stun locking queen, okay, and no one is running away from her because she gets that haste buff on her second skill. So she's fast, she stuns, she raises her own defense and attack, stuns again on her 4th skill, and each attack of her auto attacks lowers the cooldown of breakaway, so no one is running from her, and it's going to be so annoying. If you've been in an arena and you're getting stun locked and knocked up and silenced, it's very annoying, and I feel like she is a A rank because of her utility that she brings. So also, the next character I want to talk about is Scam Berserker. Now, this is who I use personally for a farmer. The game gives you a Nat 4 farmer, Water Spearman. So Water Spearman, he doesn't bring anything special, anything utility-wise to the game. I mean, to farming. It's just, he heals on his autos. He hits everyone in a cone. He heals again on, I think, his 3rd. Yeah, Spinning Spear. You can, it reduces all incoming attack, raises movement speed. Yeah, and it provokes. However, so look at this Nat 3 of Water Scanned Berserker. Okay. And this is who I actually chose to put my vampire set on. So auto attacks. If the HP is below 30%, you deal an additional 100% bonus damage. on a farmer and someone with Undying, that's huge. Second skill, AoE attack break and provokes. The provoke, I wish he didn't really have, but it's still good as a farmer. But and he is considered a tank. But if you look at the base stats of all these Scam Berserkers, so the attack base stat for Scam Berserker is 136. If you look at Forest, it's 132, and he's a fighter. Okay. If you look at Light, it's 124. He's a fighter. Okay, and Fire is a fighter, 124. Okay, so he has a higher base stat for attack, and he's a tank. So it's good to have. I mean, look at the he's a tank, but his max HP is actually lower than the others. So the base stats doesn't make sense that he's a tank, because he's more of a fighter. I mean, he has lower max HP, but he has higher attack. He's a great farmer. I 5-starred him. I'm leveling him up. I may 6-star him, but I think I'm going to work on my Drake and Widow team first. But again, AoE attack break. If you enrage with the Unstoppable, if you have that buff up, he gets 30% more life stealing, which is great. The only thing that is bad with that is this is channeling, but Water Spearman has a channel too, and that can be interrupted just like he can. So he definitely needs some resistance as well. So this is the Unstoppable Rage, which is the Enraged. You become enraged. Self-attack buff, a haste, so they can't run away, and then Undying. So he can't die unless it strips. This also triggers automatically when he takes lethal damage. That'll kill him. And then when you ascend him, he has the passive of increasing max HP. So when you're using him as just a farmer and then leveling 3 fodder with it, he has that passive to raise his HP, which is good. Okay, so let's go down the list. The last A rank I have is Water Timekeeper. So Water Timekeeper, I have Dark and I have Fire, which are both Nat 4s. Dark is a light and dark Nat 4, which is awesome, and he's awesome to have. Pretty much on the same skill set as the Water. So Water has a heal, which is based off of attack. So he is a nuker, but he also has that heal, and it does heal for a lot. And it heals everyone in the way, all your allies in the way, and when it comes back, it'll heal as well on the way back. So his basic attacks when he's empowered, so every 6 seconds he becomes empowered anyway. So he lowers his allies' cooldowns, lowers his skill cooldowns of nearby allies by 1%. 1 second. This is huge. I mean, for other healers, for other support, tank, whatever, it's just great to have. He has ongoing damage, so you can use him in boss fights, like you could use him in Widow, for example, because he has that damage over time, and he's a heal, so he's kind of like an off healer, but a nuke, so it's just great. Blocks buffs and does immortal wounds, so if you need that, that is also good to have. So he's just great to have. Other than that, I mean, I may build him. If you ever seen him in PvP, it's kind of funny because I use 2 Timekeepers in PvP, and when I do it on auto, they both do the AoE skill at the same time, and it just rips them to shreds. And then I jump in with my Fire Archangel and silence them, and they can't heal unless they resist that. So it's really Timekeepers. I think all of them are great. I rated Forest a C just because all the other Timekeepers, in my opinion, are better. Dark is a Nat 4. Light is a Nat 4. I believe. Let me just double check that, because I haven't seen yeah. So Light is a Nat 4, Dark is a Nat 4, Fire is a Nat 4, and then you have Water, which is better than Forest. So, Forest Timekeeper, you could use him still, but he doesn't have like a damage over time, but he does hit very hard. But again, I wouldn't bring him to like floor 10 Drake because he doesn't have like a damage over time, and I'm all about damage over time, the ongoing damage, so that's why I have that. So some things to note too, I'm not going to make a Nat 2 tier list because obviously there's only 3 that you should really build, maybe 4. Water Crystal Priest, Forest Crystal Priest, the Fire Harpy, and the Grublin Shaman. What I want to talk about though quickly is the difference between Water and Forest Crystal Priest. So I personally am building Forest Crystal Priest. I will be building Water too, so don't get me wrong, both of them are great, especially for Nat 2s, but I built Forest first, and that's for floor 10 Drake and pretty much everywhere else. I could have went with Fire, but so I like Forest more personally because his Purify removes 1 debuff and heals them, and this is nearby allies. Okay, so say you have a heal block up on your ally and I remove it and then I heal. It's much better than Water when you have, you know, this is to nearby allies as well, grants immunity and regeneration buff, and that's only to the allies around you, just like Forest Priest. However, if you have heal block on your ally and you cast immunity, that's not cleansing the heal block, that's only applying immunity. So you still have the heal block, the regeneration isn't healing them. So that's why I chose, and I personally prefer Forest Crystal Priest over Water, just on that aspect. Don't get me wrong, they're both great. I'm building Water Priest too, and that's a good thing. But if you ever notice monsters like this that are just nearby allies, they're in the back line, and depending on your team comp, unless all of your monsters are ranged and you just had that tank out there, not everyone is getting the immunity and regeneration buff. So it's just something to think about. You know, other people to mention, I would think, would be on the B tier list. And I'll try to go down and look at that. Like I said, Fire Boon's sister is on the B. She could be considered A as well. But I just rated her a B because I feel like Water is more useful everywhere else. Candy Munchkin Forest. So I want to talk about the Candy Munchkin Forest really quick. Let me filter this out real quick. So Candy Munchkin, okay. Not only is she a whiny little baby. Oh, look at that! Look at that sad face. All right, so all of her main auto attack is based off of enemy's max HP. Her ultimate is based off of enemy max HP. She applies as a slow and raises her own crit. I feel like this is going to be a good monster for floor 10 Drake, depending on my team comp. And then I'm just going to test her out. I'm building her. I want to see how much damage she does at 5-star, and then that'll determine whether I want to build her to 6-star or not, for like a speed run, something like that. So let's see some more. So Water Crow Hag, you could use her actually in floor 10 Drake and floor 10 Widow, and she has the same skill set as all the other Crow Hags. So she's just another good monster to have here. So Disorients, the life stealing when enhanced, mortal wounds, and ongoing damage. So you could use her in both scenarios. Me personally, I'm just focusing right now on floor 10 Drake, because you know, I'm newer and I'm just starting out kind of 2 days late than anyone else, so I'm just trying to focus more on floor 10 right now, and then I'll worry about Widow in a little while. So I like to have the stronger element, so I'm taking less damage, so that's why I'm building Forest Crow Hag first. And if I get Light Crow Hag, then I'll even be happier. So then we go with let's see, Dark Fox Assassin. We talked about her. Fire Mercenary. Okay, so this is like really your what am I trying to say? Your fire Nat 3 5 vs 5 tank. She has a provoke, she has a stun. The ultimate can finish someone off when she's low. So if you look at this, bonus damage based on enemies max HP, missing HP. She has a little mitigation damage from her auto attacks. So and everything's based off of defense. So unless the enemy is ignoring defense, you know, she could be pretty good 5 vs 5. She has a stun, so it, you know, just a good monster for if you need to build a tank for 5 vs 5, and it's a Nat 3, then go ahead with that. So let's talk about Dark Mercenary as well. So Dark Mercenary, she's your best Nat 3 dark tank in my opinion, just because of the same thing she provokes, the mitigation, everything's based off of defense, has damage reflection. So if you build her and you need a dark tank, then that's somebody to go with. So Water Valkyrie and Forest Valkyrie, I have both of these as a B rank. Water Valkyrie you can use in 5 vs 5 PvP, so she's great. She's a speed nuker healer. So let me pull her up really quick if I can find her. Where are you? Where are you? There you are. Okay, and I actually have her at 4 stars right now. I'm just building her up. So everything is based off attack speed. She raises her own attack speed and her haste, so she can run faster. The heal is kind of like the Crystal Priests, where it bounces to allies, and it's based off of your attack. So she's kind of like an attack and a speed nuke support healer. She's really good, and I am building her. Forest is a great utility support, and you can use her in floor 10 for that attack break and the lower defense, and she does damage based off of attack speed, raises her own attack speed, so she can hit really hard. If you need a 4 for 5th slot with that attack break in Drake, floor 10 Drake, then I would build her. And then we have, let's see, anybody? Water Shark. So I had some discussion on Water Shark too. I rated him a B. I don't really think that's overrated, because I rated him a B only because of the 5 vs 5 aspect and how much mobility and sustainability that he has. So, you know, if the primary target is less than 80%, it lowers the cooldown of Undertow Rush, which dashes forward and deals a slow. So you do that, the Undertow Rush, you hit them, and if they're under 80% HP, it lowers the cooldown quicker. So you can, if the enemy is able to get away, you can use that again to try to catch up. So Bloodseeker slash deals damage to nearby enemies. If they're below 50%, it raises your own crit and applies the haste buff on yourself. So if they're low and they're trying to get away, then you're able to catch up to them and possibly hit harder if you're not critting. The ultimate deals a massive bite to finish off the enemy target. It's based off of the enemy's missing HP, so if they're 50%, you're catching up to them, your ultimate comes up, you do the final bite, you destroy them, you heal for 50% of your damage that you deal, and if this attack kills the target, then you gain 2 stacks of regeneration. So I mean, it's just good sustainability, good mobility, and I just feel like I think a B rating, and that's how I got that B rating, is just because of that. Let's see, let's go with Fire Scan Berserker. So I didn't talk about him before when I was talking about the Scan Berserker. However, you can't really get away from this dude. I mean, you leap at them, you can lower their defense, you can cast it again and leap at them again for a slow. He's just, look at all the slows that he has, and then the mobility that he has. I just feel like, and he has Undying, he increases his own movement speed, and attack buff. So I feel like, he could be decent and hard to get away from in 5 vs 5, and that's why I rated him a B, just because of the 5 vs 5 aspect. And then we have Light and Dark Berserkers again. They're actually just, I think all the Scan Berserkers for Nat 3s are really good just because of the Undying. He's a tank. The Dark is a tank, so he has damage reflection. He has a slow attack break. Just a good, a pretty decent tank. I feel like comparing her, the Dark Scan Berserker to which one was it? The Dark Valkyrie. I feel like Dark Valkyrie can pretty much outshine tank him. She has more mitigation, just because of the basic skills, and she's damage based and damage reflection, which he also has as well, the damage reflection and undying. But I just like the Valkyrie's damage mitigation on her on that basic attacks a little bit better. Light, you know, I would actually build light. Again, it's neutral element, you can use anywhere. Self attack buff, you know, pretty much the same as water, but has the fire leap. So it's just, you know, I think all the Scam Berserkers are good. It just, I rated them on overall usefulness. So thank you guys. I just want to explain some of the main discussion on my tier list, and I hope this can help you guys from wasting resources on a monster that you might not need or might not want or might not be useful later down the line. So thank you guys again. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you get notifications of my videos. I will eventually start streaming this game. I just need some time to work on some other things. So thank you again. Have a good day.